My younger sister, Sylvia, known for her sharp wit and sly charm, always loved to play pranks. She secretly swapped crucial evidence in my court case just to watch me be humiliated in court. The innocent underage victims were distorted into promiscuous girls who intentionally seduced others. The rapist was not only acquitted, but also gained public sympathy. With nowhere left to seek justice, unwilling to endure further humiliation, the victims jumped hand in hand from the rooftop, using their deaths to prove their innocence. 23 young lives were lost, shocking public opinion. As a lawyer, my reputation was ruined. Everyone cursed me as a perverter of justice, an unscrupulous attorney, demanding I die along with those girls. Furious, I went to confront my sister, but she hid behind my fiancé, Ethan, with an innocent look. "I'm sorry, sister, I just thought it was fun. I didn't realize they were so weak." I wanted to pin her down, drag her to the graves of the deceased, and make her bow an apology, but my parents stopped me. "Enough! She was just playing a cruel prank. She didn't intentionally harm anyone. Do you want to ruin your sister's future?" They piled all the blame onto me. I was chased by an angry mob. While frantically trying to overturn the case for the victims, I was in a car accident and died. When I opened my eyes again, I had returned to the day my sister swapped the evidence. "Wearing something so revealing, aren't you trying to seduce the defendant?" Sylvia deliberately pulled open my shirt, then laughed mockingly. The chilling sensation on my chest jolted me awake. I had been reborn. In my past life, Sylvia, acting as my assistant, had secretly swapped documents when helping me submit evidence to the court. The case file, originally packed with incriminating evidence against the defendant, had been completely transformed into statements portraying the victims as loose and provocative. The case, which I was certain to win, was lost. That beast of a director was not only unpunished, but also reinstated. 23 girls stood hand in hand on the rooftop. I pleaded with them, crying, "Please trust me one more time. I will definitely get justice for you." The oldest among them was only 17. She screamed until her voice was hoarse. "We've been slandered as promiscuous women anyone can sleep with. What good is belated justice? If we don't die, we can only return to the orphanage and continue to be shamed by that animal. This world is too painful. We won't come back in the next life." Then, she jumped without a moment's hesitation. I tried to rush forward but couldn't hold on to them, not even for a second. The incident once again caused public outcry. I, once a golden lawyer with a brilliant future, became a perverter of justice, an unscrupulous attorney. Gritting my teeth, I confronted Sylvia with the swapped evidence. Again, she wept piteously, hiding behind Ethan, my fiancé. "Sister, I'm sorry, I didn't realize things would be so serious. Wow, I just thought it was fun. I didn't realize they were so weak." My fiancé also defended her. "Little Sylvia was just playing a little prank. Why are you overreacting? I think you just didn't perform well in court, that's why you lost the case." I was furious, wanting to pin Sylvia down and make her bow an apology to the girls, but my parents stopped me. My father slapped me hard across the face. "Enough! Your sister was just messing with you a little. What do their deaths have to do with her?" My mother hugged my sister tightly. "Are you trying to make your sister take the blame so you can escape? If this gets out, what future will your sister have?" To escape punishment, Sylvia colluded with my fiancé and my superior, slandering me as someone who took money from criminals and intentionally lost cases. She even started a live stream to apologize on my behalf, dumping all the blame onto me. Enraged netizens hurled insults, and I became like a street rat everyone wanted to beat. My license to practice law was revoked, I lost my job, and whenever I went out, people would surround me, curse me, and even assault me. Finally, while frantically trying to overturn the case for the girls, I was chased by an angry mob and died tragically in a car accident. I died with my eyes open, bearing false accusations. I never imagined that one morning, reborn, I would return to the very day my sister swapped the evidence. Regaining my composure, I pushed her away, buttoned my shirt, and snapped angrily, "How dare you, as a woman, make a joke out of others' pain? Get out of my sight or don't blame me for being impolite." Sylvia flinched, then cried out resentfully, "No way, I was just playing a little prank. Why are you making such a big deal out of it?" "Is that so? Then I hope this lifetime, Sylvia, you get to fully enjoy the cruel pranks I have in store for you. Until your reputation is ruined beyond redemption for eternity." The next day was the court hearing. In front of the courthouse, she stood beside my fiancé, Ethan. Sylvia purred, "Seeing you work so hard preparing documents every day, there's going to be a big surprise in court later, you know." Sylvia drew out her words. The surprise is right there in the evidence. Then she winked playfully, deliberately changing the subject. Pranks have to be grand to be fun, right, Ethan? If my sister loses this case, you'll have to take me to the Purgatory restaurant. My fans are really looking forward to seeing you there. After joining the law firm, Sylvia had used her lawyer identity to attract fans. With her pretty face and sharp, cunning personality, she quickly became a famous online legal beauty. Purgatory was a trendy new restaurant popular with couples. Ethan gently pinched her nose, his voice full of indulgence. You're always so mischievous. Just go ahead and do it. If anyone dares to get angry over a prank, just tell them to come find me, the head of this law firm. He glared at me, his warning obvious. I stared coldly at them, a fire of rage burning within me. A serious matter involving human lives was just a part of their flirtatious display. From childhood, Sylvia had used cruel pranks as an excuse to inflict countless psychological wounds on me. Before my university entrance exam, she secretly swapped all my pens with leaky ones. I, who usually had excellent grades, ended up with only 250 points. She held my report card, smiling innocently. Sister, I was just playing a prank on you. You're not mad, are you? You're so smart, you'll get into a good school even if you retake it. I had no choice but to study for another year. During that time, she wrote my phone number in every dark, dirty corner she could find. My phone and social media accounts were flooded with messages inviting me to prostitution. Unable to bear it, I cried and sought justice from my parents, only to receive a stinging slap across the face. You just like to have a little fun. Do you have to overreact so much? You can't even tolerate your own sister, you're such a scumbag. Sylvia snuggled into my mother's arms, whining, It was just a prank. Besides, so many men sought you out, I thought you were enjoying it too. Thinking of this, I clenched my fists, my eyes red. Arbitrarily falsifying evidence without any professional ethics. A matter of justice and righteousness dared to be treated as a childish prank. I turned to Ethan, pointing at his lawyer's badge. You're a lawyer too, and not only did you not stop Sylvia, but you're also using your position as head of the law firm to show off. Look at this badge today. Did your oath to uphold the Constitution get eaten by dogs? Do wrongful convictions have to happen before you feel regret? Sylvia immediately looked aggrieved, tugging on Ethan's sleeve. I just thought the courtroom was too dry. I wanted to create a surprise for Sister to lighten things up. Sister is so boring and old-fashioned. No wonder Ethan and our parents don't like you. After saying that, she crossed her arms, tilted her chin slightly, and pouted at me. Ethan was charmed by her pouting expression and frowned at me. Little Sylvia just likes to have fun. She doesn't mean any harm. Do you have to be so hard on her? Besides, it's just a prank. What big trouble could it cause? The court atmosphere is tense. Wouldn't it be good to have this mischievous girl cheer everyone up? I was so angry my vision blurred, but the hearing was about to begin, so I could only rush into the courtroom. Sylvia believed she had secured victory after swapping the evidence. All the way there, she kept muttering in my ear, I was just playing a little prank, but if we really lose, will those girls hate you to death? Will they be able to endure the rapist being acquitted? Even when I stood in court and looked back at her, she was still smug, mouthing innocent at me. But the next second, her expression changed. What was presented to the court was not the fabricated evidence she created about the victim intentionally seducing the director, but piled up evidence of the director's crimes, having molested the girls over the years. The moment I was reborn, I intercepted the documents Sylvia had submitted and personally went to the courthouse to update the evidence, transforming the anger and guilt of my past life into my fighting will in that moment. In court, my words were sharp, each one like a precious pearl, questioning the defendant and his lawyer until cold sweat poured down their pale faces. Sylvia sat frozen in her seat, face ashen, muttering, How can this be? I already swapped the evidence. After proving the director's crimes, I stated clearly, without haste. Furthermore, I solemnly accused the defendant of allegedly using illegal means to bribe the legal assistant in this case, interfering with the fairness of justice. I urged the court to judge strictly and immediately initiate an investigation into the involved legal assistant to clarify the truth. Sylvia, sitting in the audience, suddenly shot up, frantically refuting. She's speaking nonsense. That's not true. I turned back and raised an eyebrow at her. The law is fair. It will not wrong the innocent, and it will absolutely not overlook any criminal. I emphasized the two words, any criminal. Sylvia grew even more frantic, speaking incoherently. Are you taking revenge on me? I just played a little prank on you, and you're intentionally slandering me in court. Ethan, seeing her cry, softened and pulled her into his embrace. Eliza, are you crazy? You can just say anything. The girl just wanted to joke a little, and it wasn't even successful. Why do you have to make such a fuss? I gave a cold laugh. Arbitrarily changing evidence to undermine judicial fairness is a joke, and when I make a reasonable accusation, it's making a fuss. Ethan, do you still remember you're a lawyer? At my words, the entire courtroom immediately buzzed. Reporters in the audience began whispering. Ethan's face showed fear, blindly defending Sylvia like that would only drag him into a swamp of public opinion. The court pronounced judgment. The beastly director was convicted of rape and sentenced to 13 years in prison. He roared in court, denying guilt and appealing. I gritted my teeth, looking at his ugly face. Even if he appealed 1,000 times, I would make sure he rotted in prison. The bribery charge would be handled in a separate case. Knowing she would be investigated as an implicated party, Sylvia's face immediately darkened, and then she fainted. After the trial, I was in high spirits. After tidying everything up, I prepared to leave the courthouse. In the main hall, an angry shout stopped me in my tracks. Turning my head, I saw my father had arrived. A string of Buddhist prayer beads was thrown directly at my face. The hard beads made my face sting immediately. My father, fuming, pounded his cane on the ground. You unfilial child, your sister is innocent and adorable, but you, from a young age, have been deeply cunning. How can you not tolerate her? How dare you intentionally harm your sister in court? We, the Jiang family, truly don't know why we have a daughter like you. A father scolding his daughter always attracts attention. Many curious onlookers began to gather around, pointing at me. Hey, isn't that the lawyer who just accused her own sister in court? So she's slandering her sister in court out of jealousy, afraid of being temporarily detained for investigation? Really? How cruel. I heard her sister is usually very clever and sweet, well liked by everyone, she just likes to play pranks. Turns out this older sister is too uptight and can't handle it. This lawyer is so manipulative, who would dare to hire her as a representative after this? Everyone spoke up for Sylvia, and Sylvia, who was supposed to be under investigation, unexpectedly appeared before me. She pouted, looking aggrieved. I just like to prank you, and you want to send me to jail for revenge? She said, then burst into tears, looking truly pathetic. Ethan hugged her, gently comforting her. Little Sylvia, don't worry, you'll be fine. My mother kicked my shin hard, and I stumbled, falling to my knees. She grabbed my hair, the pain making my face go pale. How dare you slander your sister in court? If I had known you had such a vicious heart, I would never have given birth to you. So, in my biological parents' eyes, I was just a wicked, evil child who harmed my sister. Wiping away tears that flowed from physical pain, I straightened my back and looked at them, laughing coldly. Sylvia deliberately changed my court evidence, waiting to see me lose the case, and you consider it nothing. I merely presented new details of the case in court. You should also know the principle of case on file, evidence over testimony. Whether professionally or personally, I have done nothing wrong. How can you call it slander or harm? The matter of Sylvia accepting bribes is something I only discovered in this life. Time was short, and I didn't have conclusive evidence, but a straight tree fears no strong wind. If Sylvia were truly innocent, she wouldn't need to be afraid. But in my previous life, when I died, the people who were holding Sylvia and coaxing her, saying it's just a prank, it has nothing to do with that other girl, are now all red-faced with anger. Ethan spoke furiously. Not everything can be used for a cruel joke. In this matter, you wronged Sylvia. I advise you to confess and say you falsely accused her. We will forgive you. My father snorted coldly, his tone indifferent. As a lawyer, you know what should be said and what shouldn't. With that, my father waved his hand to one side. 2 tall judicial police officers stepped forward. Eliza, if you've done wrong, you must be honest. Go now and clarify everything. My father nodded. The 2 judicial police officers immediately grabbed me tightly. No matter how I struggled, I couldn't break free. I looked at him in shock. He knew how hard I had worked to gain a foothold in the legal world. He was using my 10 years of effort, my future, my ideals to threaten me. I bowed my head, resentment churning inside me. How dare Sylvia use cruel pranks as an excuse to hurt me again and again? And I, merely stating what she had done, faced the risk of my entire life being ruined. From beginning to end, I only wanted to seek justice for myself and for the victims. Would my future also be destroyed by them this time? Sylvia saw that I said nothing, stopped crying, and softly mumbled, "Sister, I'm so sorry. Who knew you'd be so petty about a prank? But it's okay, I forgive you." As she spoke, she took a few steps forward, but her long, sharp fingernails dug hard into my cheek. The sharp pain made my expression change, but the very next second, Sylvia was kicked hard to the ground by someone else. She lay sprawled on the ground, staring in horror at the newcomer. "Who are you? How dare you touch me?" A decisive, strong voice replied. "I am Lena Lee, head of the city's Disciplinary Inspection Commission." The newcomer, dressed in a neat business suit, quickly showed identification to everyone present. Lena Lee specialized in supervising officials who abused their power, known for being unyielding and impartial. She was also my classmate from university. We were quite close. I was worried that the orphanage director had protection, so as soon as I was reborn, I asked her to investigate. I never expected her to save me at this exact moment. Without another word, the two judicial police officers holding me trembled and let go. She stood beside me, her voice resolute. I heard the entire conversation. "Deputy Bureau Chief Jiang, you truly are a high-ranking official, aren't you?" My father abandoned his previous dignified, calm demeanor and hurriedly bowed. "My eldest daughter is truly disobedient, slandering her sister on her own accord, so I was just teaching her a few lessons. This is just a family matter. What official authority is there?" he said, then laughed loudly, trying to ease the tense atmosphere. Lena Lee, however, did not go along with him, giving a cold snort. "Bureau Chief Jiang, you also come from the legal profession, so you must understand the principles of prioritizing evidence and testimony, yes. You keep saying Eliza slandered Sylvia, but where is the evidence? Where is the evidence that Sylvia did not accept bribes?" Her gaze, sharp as a knife, swept over everyone present. Those who had just been vociferously defending Sylvia now stammered, unable to utter a word. "You have no evidence that Eliza slandered, but I have evidence that Sylvia accepted bribes. Let me show you." My eyes immediately lit up. Lena Lee's actions were incredibly fast. She managed to find clues and obtain evidence within a mere dozen hours. My mother came forward, smiling ingratiatingly, intending to take Lena Lee's arm. "Prosecutor Lee, it's not very appropriate to discuss these matters in such a crowded place. Perhaps we can find somewhere private to talk?" Lena Lee pushed my mother's hand away. "No need. There's nothing new under the sun." With that, she took out a stack of documents and presented them to everyone. On the 14th of this month, Sylvia and the defendant in this case had 8 phone calls, totaling 47 minutes and 53 seconds. The next day, they met at a cafe. At the same time, Sylvia's bank account received 150,000 yuan. 7 days later, they met again, and the defendant gave Sylvia some documents. On the same day, Sylvia's account received an additional 200,000 yuan. As Lena Lee spoke, she showed bank statements and surveillance camera screenshots to everyone. Then, she took out another set of documents. I glanced at them. It was the fake evidence Sylvia had created. After intercepting it, I had quickly transferred it to Lena Lee. "This is the evidence Sylvia submitted to the court. I will request the police to perform fingerprint identification. If the defendant's fingerprints are found on it, the chain of evidence will be established." She presented all the evidence logically, meticulously, and clearly. With each detail revealed, Sylvia's face grew paler. By the end, her face was as white as paper, and her whole body went limp, falling into Ethan's arms. My mother, seeing this, felt immense pity for her daughter, looking at Lena Lee with pleading eyes, but she remained unmoved, looking at them coldly. I asked the 2 police officers to detain Sylvia according to the law for further investigation. I will also continue to monitor the progress of the case. She turned to my father. "Regarding the suspicion of Deputy Bureau Chief Jiang abusing his power, I will recommend an investigation. I hope you will cooperate." After speaking, she gathered her documents, supported me, and turned to leave, ignoring my parents' and Sylvia's desperate cries and pleas behind us. With Lena Lee's intervention, public opinion at the scene immediately reversed. Even after we had walked a good distance, I could still hear the pointing and whispering of the crowd about Sylvia and my father. People, who originally only trusted public authorities, had thought I was fabricating things because Sylvia seemed unharmed. Now, with every piece of evidence and detail laid bare, everyone naturally turned to curse Sylvia, the accomplice of the criminal. The video from the scene went viral online. Sylvia's image as a legal goddess completely collapsed. Her name constantly trended in searches, triggering a wave of criticism against my parents. After 7 days of detention, Sylvia was released on bail. She dared not leave the house, crying and wailing every day. but my parents and Ethan had no time to comfort her. They were busy running around everywhere, leveraging their connections. Not only did they want to help Sylvia escape punishment, but they also continuously investigated my and Lena Lee's pasts, conspiring to find flaws to bring us both down. I paid them no mind. A straight tree fears no strong wind. I had nothing to be ashamed of in any case I handled, and I believed Lena Lee was the same, but I never expected them to be so despicable as to target the plaintiffs in the case. "Sister, someone seems to be trying to break in. We're so scared." Hearing the trembling voices of the girls on the phone, I grabbed my car keys and rushed out. "Don't be scared, I'm coming right away. Call the police now and find something to block the door. Don't worry, I'll be there in 15 minutes. When I arrived in a hurry, the police were investigating but found no suspicious individuals. Perhaps the children were overly stressed due to their psychological trauma. We will contact the Women's Federation to provide enhanced psychological counseling. The police department's manpower was limited, so after ruling out immediate danger, they also had to leave. I looked at the girls with tear-stained faces in the dormitory, my heart aching. Not wanting to affect their mood, I quickly went into the hallway and secretly wiped my tears. Suddenly, someone pulled me back. It was Sylvia. She tilted her head, listening to the muffled sobs, and smugly said, "Sister, I bet their panicked faces are quite a sight, aren't they? You did this." I was about to call the police immediately, but she raised her hand to stop me, chuckling. "What would you tell the police, sister? The police just left. Even if I were caught, it's just a cruel prank of knocking on the door. What's the big deal?" Sylvia squeezed my chin hard, her expression turning maniacal. "Eliza, you brought this upon yourself, insisting on sending me to jail. Tomorrow, you go to the police station and take the blame for me. I don't care if you say you wronged me or slandered me, but you have to get me out of this." I pulled my hand away from her. "Are you dreaming? Based on what? Don't you want these poor children to have their doors knocked on, be followed, and live in fear every day? What do you think, will they eventually be unable to bear it and just die? Oh dear, how terrifying," Sylvia said, laughing loudly, sending a shiver down my spine. How could a human heart be so wicked? Recalling the sight of the wronged girls jumping from the building in front of me in my past life, my anger surged. They had suffered too much. I didn't want them to live in fear and anxiety in this life. Sylvia had lost all reason, but I felt like a rat whose jar had been broken, barely able to control the fire of anger in my heart. I slapped Sylvia hard across the face. "You're using this to threaten me? Sylvia, are you even human? Can your hand reach the orphanages in this city, but can it reach all orphanages across the country? Before your case is concluded, I will ask the police to implement victim protection measures. Immediately after sentencing, I will take them to an orphanage in another province. Can Ethan still harass them, or can Dad abandon his future to defend you?" Kicking Sylvia hard, I yelled, Get out of my sight." Sylvia glared at me with hatred, gritted her teeth, and ran off. I turned around and saw dozens of eyes staring at me like stars in the sky. A slightly cold hand took mine. "Sister, don't worry, we're not scared." "That's right, we're not scared," the little girls chirped in response, the previous atmosphere of fear dissipating considerably. After settling them down, I prepared to leave the orphanage. While thinking about how to get police protection as quickly as possible, a sharp pain suddenly shot through the back of my neck, and I collapsed to the ground. When I woke up, I was in an abandoned warehouse, my hands and feet bound tightly. Sylvia sat nearby, her face dark. Seeing me awake, she looked vicious. "Eliza, my life is ruined because of you, so don't even dream of living well." I gritted my teeth and raised my head. I never expected that even at this moment, she showed no remorse. "What do you want to do?" I asked coldly while reaching into my pocket. My phone was gone, but thankfully my Bluetooth earpiece was still there. I pressed and held the button to redial the last number. Before coming here, I had called 911. Now, all I needed to do was buy time. Sylvia had lost all reason. "I'll slowly carve up your face, then give you a big secret gift so you'll die in despair and agony. If I have to go to jail, why should you get to live better than me? You must suffer 1,000, 10,000 times worse than me." With that, she charged at me with a knife. I chose the right moment. As she lunged, I suddenly shifted my body, but the knife still grazed my left arm. Seeing the blood, Sylvia became even more excited. I suppressed the pain and said, "It's just accepting bribes. The amount isn't large, so even if you go to jail, it won't be for long. But intentionally causing injury or even intentional homicide is a serious crime." "Calm down." Sylvia froze, then said furiously, "Don't try to downplay it. I'm a lawyer with a criminal record. My license will be revoked. Besides, what are people saying about me online now? How can I even live? And what do your death and your injuries have to do with me? All of this was done by a madman. I frowned in confusion. Just then the warehouse door was pushed open. Ethan led in a dirty, mentally disturbed, homeless man. He frowned, took the knife from Sylvia's hand. "Sylvia, why are you doing this yourself? What if you leave traces?" He said, wiping fingerprints from the knife, then handed it to the homeless man, coaxing him. "This is the wife I found for you. You can do whatever you want with her, but in the end, you have to stab this knife into her chest. Remember?" The homeless man nodded foolishly, giggling as he approached me. I gritted my teeth, dodging left and right, but my hands and feet were bound, and I quickly ran out of strength. The homeless man's huge hand slapped me on the back. I immediately stumbled and fell to the ground, unable to get up. I tried to crawl with my hands and feet to escape. Sylvia snuggled into Ethan's arms and made a phone call. My parents' voices came from the phone. My eyes showed a plea for help. I screamed with all my might, "Mom, Dad, save me! Sylvia's gone mad! Save me!" Sylvia turned the screen towards me. What appeared before my eyes was my father's impatient face. "You caused little Sylvia to be prosecuted. I've been suspended from work for investigation. Now she's just teasing you to vent her anger. You're not going to die, so why are you making such a racket?" My mother frowned and said, "My dearest Sylvia, you must be careful, don't leave any evidence." Clearly, in the video, my bleeding injuries were clearly visible, but my parents remained unmoved, calling it teasing. But if it was truly just teasing, why remind Sylvia not to leave any traces at the scene? Sylvia squatted down, smiling charmingly. "Sister, you don't know, but you look so pathetic and ridiculous right now. If you don't let me live in peace, then just die." It was at this moment, the distance between us was very close. I struggled to push myself off the ground, clutching her collar, then lost my balance and fell. Due to inertia, Sylvia's shirt was pulled open, revealing her fair skin to the air. Ethan angrily tried to lunge at me, but the homeless man, mentally unstable, acted purely on instinct. Seeing Sylvia's revealing state, he immediately abandoned me and began to chase Sylvia. Ethan no longer paid attention to me, grappling with the homeless man. I finally got a moment to breathe. Sylvia was so frightened she fell to the ground. In the struggle, somehow the homeless man also fell. The sharp knife in his hand plunged straight into Sylvia's chest. "No, Sylvia." Amidst Ethan's mournful screams, the police burst through the door. I, as a victim, was taken to the police station to give my statement. Ethan and the homeless man were detained. Sylvia, due to the fatal stab wound, had died on the spot from excessive bleeding. No one would know that during the struggle, my foot had subtly extended, perhaps tripping someone. At the morgue, my mother pulled back the white sheet, saw Sylvia's pale face, and recoiled a few steps in fear. She immediately collapsed, weeping loudly, and lunged to hit me but was restrained by the police. "You wicked bitch, you killed your sister. Why don't you go die? Why did you resist? Why isn't it you who died?" I stood still, only feeling ironic. Their blind indulgence and lack of discernment had led Sylvia step by step to this day. Now they were blaming everything on me. My father, though he could barely maintain his composure, his trembling voice betrayed his despair. "Eliza, what exactly do you want?" I calmly replied, "I want nothing. You repeatedly condoned Sylvia's cruel pranks against me, continuously eroding the family bond between us. Even when you saw my arm covered in blood, you were indifferent. What more could I expect from you? Your cheap parental love, I no longer need it. Then why are you here now? To see us humiliated?" My father's temple throbbed, his face red. "I'm here to tell you why Sylvia died. Was it truly that homeless man who killed her? If only you hadn't repeatedly indulged Sylvia's mistakes. If only you had scolded her when I cried for help, to stop her before she went over the edge, then none of what followed would have happened. You abandoned me and then personally caused Sylvia's death. You must take care of yourselves. I look forward to seeing you live a long, lonely life until old age." After saying that, I walked towards the detention room, ignoring their frantic cries. Ethan said he wanted to see me. As soon as Ethan saw me, he rushed forward, his handcuffs clanging against the bars. "Eliza, I was wrong. Can you forgive me this one time? Tell the police that Sylvia planned it all by herself. As soon as I'm out, I'll definitely marry you. I'll treat you well my whole life and never betray you." I gave a cold laugh at his ugly demeanor. "Who do you think you are? Don't daydream. I don't need a filthy man." He thought I was jealous of Sylvia, as if he had grasped a final straw. "Eliza, I never slept with her. I didn't. Please forgive me this one time, give me a chance." I smiled wryly, glancing at the wound on his arm. "You and that homeless man both got injured during the struggle for the knife, didn't you? He has HIV." My words struck Ethan like lightning. He immediately looked as if he had been choked, unable to utter a sound. He stood stunned for a moment, then collapsed. Unwilling to deal with these pests any longer, I fully authorized another law firm to file a lawsuit on my behalf. The case proceeded smoothly. Ethan was convicted of conspiracy to murder and sentenced to 13 years in prison, but he had contracted HIV and was very negative about treatment, so it was uncertain if he would live to see the day he was released. Some time later, Lena Lee informed me, "The disciplinary commission has investigated and found that your father abused his power. He's also about to go to jail." Lena Lee handed me a bottle of water. "When we went to arrest him, we saw your mother. Her mental state didn't look good. She kept calling little Sylvia into the air as if she had gone mad. We've taken her to a psychiatric hospital. Are you really not going to visit her?" I looked out at the brilliant sunshine. "No, I won't go. I'll pay for her hospital fees as repayment for giving birth to me. Nothing more, you reap what you sow." This outcome is simply getting what they wished for. She mused for a moment, then, as if a burden had been lifted, said, "That's right, you should have a life of your own."